Terry Taylor, or as he is more widely known by the masses, is the Red Rooster, said on an interview that he was supposed to be Mr. Perfect and that he was being considered to be Mr. Perfect, but yet, when they drew the gimmicks out of the box, when they were drawing gimmicks, that he got the Rooster gimmick, and I just had to belly laugh at that because it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard.
Okay, but let's bring this up. It's pretty much, I've known Terry for 35 years, and of course we haven't spoken in a number of years because he became friends. They were born again buddies. He became friends with Shitstain, and he's the one that forwarded Shitstain the email that I sent to Terry. Telling everybody I loved them, but that, what I thought about Vince, which is basically why I did it, because it was a stooge test. I've talked about this on the show. I sent Terry Taylor an email after I'd left TNA, saying what I thought about Vince Russo, because I knew he'd do one of two things. He'd either delete it and tell everybody else I said I loved him, or he'd go to his born again butt buddy Russo and tell him what I said, and it would ruin his day. I never dreamed there was a third option where he'd actually forward the email less than 5 minutes after getting it to Russo, where they would then have a lawyer write me a letter. And that's why now on my office wall, I have it in writing that an attorney says that Vince Russo was in mortal fear of you, Jim Cornette. So that's something I'll take to my grave being proud of. But anyway, even though Terry and I have not spoken, we've known each other since 35 years. At one point, he was a great babyface. He could go 40 minutes with Flair in a Superdome, have great matches. His promos weren't always very good, but he was a good looking guy, sold a lot of fucking pictures, had great matches. And then he goes up there and he becomes the Red Rooster, and he becomes the laughing stock of wrestling forever and ever. It pretty much killed his in-ring career. Why the fuck how did the Red Rooster come about?
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions here. Would you agree or disagree that Terry is a cocky guy?
I would agree with that.
Would you agree or disagree that Terry was a very arrogant guy?
I would agree with that in some instances.
Would you agree or disagree that Terry liked to talk about and crow about himself?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, that's how Vince saw him. Vince saw him as a very cocky, arrogant, kind of thinking he was the cock of the walk, and saw him as a banty rooster. The rooster that walks around and nails all the other, hens in the house. That's how Terry saw himself. And Vince was like, God damn, he's like a banty rooster, like a big red rooster, just strutting his stuff, and and that's
Bruce,
how it was.
Here's
But the thing, no, hang on. Time out.
All right, go ahead. You're the guest. Go ahead.
Okay. So again, it was a gimmick that was given to him with an idea. This is how I see it. This is how, I want you to be. I want you to be this cocky guy crowing about your stuff. But I want, the name Rooster is in name, but it is an attitude that I want you to be this way. Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne. Doink the Clown was created for Matt Bourne. Told this story a bunch. Mike Hegstrand saw Matt Bourne sitting in the back with a cigarette dangling out of his mouth and boots half tied and what have you, and looked at me and goes, Krusty the Clown. And it was like, oh my God, Matt Bourne is Krusty the Clown. And we came up with Doink. And that gimmick was an extension of Matt Bourne. And Matt was a clown, if you knew him, but he was an evil, sadistic son of a bitch. And Matt took that Doink character that everybody ha-ha'd and hoo-hooed at and thought was terrible and made it into something.
But it looks so
and it got
silly.
No, dude, he was over. He was over.
I got to jump in here, and I got to actually agree with Bruce. It was ridiculous as a thought before anyone saw it, but as it unfolded, Matt Bourne killed it as Doink, as the evil clown.
Yes, he did. He did make the best of the situation. I will agree. And the clown is down, as Renee.
The clown is down.
The clown is down.
But my point is that Terry was given what a lot of people prior to would view in the exact same way. And Terry had an opportunity to make it his own and make it. Instead, Terry hated it. Terry didn't like it and went out and half-assed it and did not embrace the gimmick, did not try to make it work, did it half-assed. He did it mockingly. Instead of going, you know what, I'll be that guy, I'll be that name, and I'll overcome all this of the negative of what people see. And as you know, it's the talent behind it that is going to make or break something.
Well, but not to be one to take up for Terry Taylor, but it was the same thing as when poor Glenn Jacobs was Dr. Isaac Yankem, the evil dentist, which was doomed from the start because Vince apparently went to the dentist and didn't like the experience or whatever. He was so not subconscious, but he was so conscious of the fact that he looked like a blithering idiot that how can you possibly come out of your shell when you're looking like a blithering idiot in front of 15,000 people?
Hey, hang on. Had Terry just been himself and been the cocky, arrogant guy that everybody else saw him as, he could have made it work.
Yeah, I mean, look, he went out there clucking with his hair as red spikes. Like,
but I mean, did he? Cluck,
that's half-assed.
What's on his own? Did he cluck? Did somebody tell him to cluck, or did he decide to cluck on his own? Well, who was the clucker that told him to cluck?
That's what he saw as the Red Rooster. He never got it.
Well, I got to say something real quick. I was at a WWF show in, I think, October of 92 at the Meadowlands, and it was Terry Taylor's return after he had been in WCW as the Tailor-Made Man. He returned, and this time he was just Terry Taylor. And it was the first time any of us had seen him back. And he gets in the ring, and I've told this story on the Super Podcast. He looks so cocky and so arrogant. He gets in the ring, and just to himself, he says out loud, "I'm back." And as soon as he did that, someone in the crowd went, it killed him on the spot in that arena. It was amazing.
I mean, I get the point that I'm trying to make is there's a lot of top main event talent through the years in wrestling that have been real assholes in person, but nobody ever gave them the gimmick that they were a skid mark, and they called them skid mark and wear, shit stains on their fucking outfits or whatever. So it just, regardless of what, I always thought you accentuated the strengths and negated the weaknesses of the talent.
Well, that's what they tried to do. But that's what they tried to do by being a heel and being a cocky, arrogant heel. But he didn't understand that. He saw himself as the second coming of Ric Flair. And as you know, an imitator is not going to get over when you're trying to be someone else. It's not going to get over because they're always going to compare you to the original.